Okay, so the new Ouija Macc album is out right now. It's called Corruptus. It dropped, I believe, on Friday, and honestly, it seems like a total separation from any of the music he's done in his past. So I am both nervous and excited to hear the full project. Now I'm writing this part right before I listen to it fully, but I will give it 2 listens. One the full way through just to get the full experience of it, and the second time basically go track by track to analyze them a bit more in depth. But first, before any of that, I want to look at the CDs. And yes, I said CDs plural because there are 2 different variants of this album, and they each have different covers and discs. You will see them in the thumbnail, but I'll also put them on the screen here just so you can see the different versions of them. And also, apparently, they do come with bonus content inside of them. I don't know because I did not pre-order any of these, so I will not be speaking on those. But having 2 variants sounds neat. Look, Twisted did it with Abominations. ICP did it with, what is it, Mighty Death Pop. Bang Pow Boom. Even the Jekyll Brothers, if you consider 2 different covers. Like, there were variants a while back, but the only problem I see here is that you're paying $20 plus shipping for 1 variant. There's nothing to be able to combine those together to get them for like a deal, which I think would have been more appreciative. And also for them to be in a digipack, which, if you don't know, it's like a cardboard sleeve, but worse. I actually think I have one right here. This is kind of what a digipack looks like. Just a random one I had, where it's like a cardboard sleeve. Normally it's just one of these. Sometimes they have a gatefold, but it comes like this. I believe the new Beverly Kills and Terror Wheel are kind of the same way with a digipack, which if they are, they're fine. They're older albums. It's a good reissue. But I technically hate them because they start to get this like fraying, and then it starts to tear just because you're opening and closing like a book, pretty much. So paying $20 each plus shipping, that kind of takes it away from me. Same when he does this cardboard sleeve ones. Just put the thing in a fucking jewel case. Like, I think a lot more people would like it if it was just in a jewel case. And I know they cost the exact same. I use a website for my stuff. It costs $1.25 whether you use a cardboard sleeve, digipack, or jewel case. There are options, and you don't gotta charge $20 each plus shipping. For people who are just like wanting to support and want to try to get both versions, they're gonna pay close to $50 after shipping and taxes. Like, it's not okay. Honestly, that's kind of ridiculous price for the quality you're getting. You're just getting cardboard and a disc. Pretty much just put this thing in a fucking paper sleeve at that point. Like, really? Okay, so now we're gonna go into the music. Whoa, that was something. That was something. So it's 25 minutes long. So before I even go into my rant, pretty much, this is not gonna be constructive. It's going to be more criticism, if I'm going to be 100% honest here. So going to 25 minutes, we're going to go up to how much did it cost? $20 for one. You put, say, about $5 even. Say shipping and taxes all come out to $25 solid. You're paying $1 a minute. That's bullshit. And honestly, the only way I can compare this, or even give it a short summary, it is the musical equivalent to Garten of Band 6. If you watch my playthrough on that, or even any of the other Garten of Bands, you will know how much I fucking hate them. Pretty much, this whole thing was just unnecessary filler, had no idea where it was going, and it was poorly executed, unfortunately. Like, I shouldn't be listening and think, when is this going to be over? That should never happen in an album. So first, before we go track by track, I'm going to go over basically the quality of it, and something I brought up in the Versus video between Odyssey and Three-Headed Monster, like, does it have ear appeal? And if you want to know kind of what that is in more depth, go back and watch that video, I explain it in there. And the short answer is, Hell no. No sort of ear appeal at all. Like, nothing. Nada. Now we're going into the long answer. Now see, the vocals on these songs, they either overtake the instrumental at times, or they just drown within it. There's no in-between due to, like, either the effects on them, the mixing on them, etc. And obviously the style in here is very different. That was given from the first single to what we have now. It was like a very, I'm guessing, like a very different path. It has more of like an emo alternative feeling to it, which is fine if you're going for that. And since it's labeled as alternative, I can get behind that. I can see it working out. But I want to talk about, why did Apple Music label it as folk music in the beginning? That's probably the funniest thing ever. Looking back at this and going over it, I had to listen to it about 3 times, unfortunately. Just, there was no, like, real solid direction of where I wanted to go. It's like getting in a car with, like, 3 tires. It's shaking and going all over the road, like it don't know where to go. And now we're gonna go into the tracks. And I'll save everyone, like, a lot of time by talking about the clusterfuck of acapella songs in there. What in the absolute fuck was that for? And unfortunately, it's half the album. The album is 12 tracks. 6 of them are this bullshit, like, so I'm just gonna go over them. They each have about a sentence or 2, something like that. First one is Corrosion in C sharp major, the first track, which honestly should have been like a 1-minute intro, maybe a 30-second intro, probably would have been better. There's no need for it to be 3 minutes long, and it's just annoying. It's just really annoying. The harmony sounds like a little fly that won't go away. It's just kind of like buzzing around you, and you're like, you don't know where to swat it at. It just keeps circling your fucking head. Like I said in the beginning, I should not be asking if this album is almost over. The first track, I was asking myself that, because I did not look at the times. I was just like, is this over yet? Like, what's going on? Next we have Laughter Upside Down, which is basically the same kind of song, same harmony, melody thing in the background that he's doing, with a different pitch on it. And it's just like, and now there's water. Now there's a water sloshing effect. What is that for? What is this magical land he's in? Next is probably the most annoying one of this whole thing. It's an acapella of Insane Clown Posse's How Many Times, which is awful. Like, it is probably the worst thing I've heard from his catalog ever. Especially with, like, the emotional style vocal that's on it. It's like, I'm not a huge fan of the original, but it is tons better than this shit. Now we have The Knowing Hand. That's the next track, which is surprisingly a semi-different harmony to it in the background. Now realize I did not say better, I said different. That's because now there's crickets in the back. It just keeps repeating that something was taken away. Guessing it says magic knowing hand. What the fuck is the hand? There's no hand brought up in this. He's just like, it's gonna take me away. It's gonna take you away. I want to be taken away from this fucking album. Now we have the track The Lights Are On in Hell, which honestly, this is more of an interlude. It's only about 50-55 seconds, which, okay, that seems better. There's kind of a same kind of harmony shit with it, and they're repeating the title name basically. This one I'm not too hating on because it is under a minute, and it seems more of an interlude. So it's like, okay, if it's an interlude, I can deal with it. I'm not happy about it, but I can tolerate it. The last acapella one is this track called To Say Goodbye, which is just another awful track, if you want to call it a track. And it's like, it has this dun 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 vocal in the back of it. It sounds like Foxy from Five Nights at Freddy's, honestly. That was the first thing that popped into my head, and I'm like, oh no. And it's just other annoying stuff coming in and out again. Different pitches, different, like, harmonies and all that shit. It just did not make any sense to me, and I just don't understand it. The first actual track is Sorcerer's Stone. That's the first track. That was also the first single off of this album, and I hate it as much as I did back then when I listened to it, as I did now. And what's interesting is, it sounds like a Suicide Boys type beat. They would have killed the track. It would have probably been, like, probably on TikTok if they used that beat. But Ouija killed the vibe of the whole track on it. I hate the whiny, like, kind of singing he does on it, and it doesn't add to it. And then he has, like, that rap verse in the middle of it, and that kind of tries to bring it back down, but as soon as the whiny vocals come in, it just shoots back off again, like, what happened? And then the song Breathing is Sacrifice is another one of those ones with that emotional type of singing on it. I don't understand it because it's just not good. It just does not get me in the mood to listen to it. And it's like, while it's a bit more tame than Sorcerer's Stone, it's still not better. Like, nothing just adds to it. There's no special pizzazz. It seems more like a filler song again. Like, it just was just there. Off the Ground is the third single released for this album, and it is the next track we'll be looking at, more in line with his other songs from the past 2 albums he's done, but with more of that whiny singing on the hooks. I can't get behind it again. The only thing going for this song is the beat on it is fairly good, but I would rather have heard anyone else on it. It just does not suit him. Now, All for Nothing is the next track, and this shows them taking more of a harder, I don't know if you would call it trap metal type beat, but it was definitely more distorted guitar, and it reminded me of something City Morgue would have used in one of their albums. Maybe back then, not now, you don't know. And he does more of like a rap style in this one compared to the singing, but there is singing in there. It's not the worst, but it's definitely best. It's better than what we looked at before. Now, surprisingly, look, we're going to talk about an acceptable one. We're going to talk about a good one now. Wingless Bones. It's more of like a laid-back track, and probably if I had to pick a overall favorite, this would be dead first. Like, there is no doubt anything could get above this, honestly. Like, it's probably the best mixed within there, and it is like the best beat, the best kind of feel to it overall. It felt like a good song. If the rest of the album was this way, I would love it. Nicorette is the last track on this album that's a full song, and while it has a similar style to All for Nothing, it has a bit more of the whiny vocals on it, unfortunately, and it does not match the style of it whatsoever. Like, this could have been better, honestly, over a solo piano, rather than a heavy, like, trap metal, whatever style of beat they're going for with this shit. It just seems like everything also keeps getting ad-libbed and dubbed on the same lines over and over. It's just more forgetful. Overall, last-minute thoughts. The acapellas are awful and they're just padding. 5 out of the 6 actual tracks are garbage. Being flat on the vocals. The mix matched the instrumental on some of them. And just not really hitting any sort of uniqueness to keep me hooked. There were many times, like, honestly, through the first listen, where I could just, like, turn it off. Like, I wanted to turn it off, get up and just walk away. Like, I didn't even think it was worth it to do this, but I already had put myself in it, so I'm just gonna see it through now. Plus, having physical copies that are 20-something bucks after shipping and all that shit, there's no bundle deals for them. Really, it's kind of just kicking you while you're down with this one. Like, there's nothing special in the album that makes me want to buy it. Why can't Ouija, with his cheaper CDs, make a cheaper option for people who want to support him? Because, like, I will give him one thing. The covers of the albums are awesome. I really do like them. But, like, I'm not going to pay almost $50 just so I can get both copies of the album. That just doesn't make sense to me as a fan. That doesn't make sense to other fans. It just feels like he can do better with the resources he has and is able to get. He has done jewel cases before. He did it for Wasteland, and he did it for Stalewind. So if I had to give it a score, I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10. And the only reason it gets a 2 and not a 1 is because Wingless Bones is a fairly solid track, and it really outshines everything else. And my honest recommendation would honestly be to not buy this album and check out some better albums from him. But I want to know your thoughts on this album down below. If you like this album, Let me know by liking, commenting if you liked it or not, subscribing, sharing it to your friends or whatever. And I will see you in the next video or album review. Take care.